All right, so this next section, we're getting into the speculation part. There are some stories emerging for which there is not a whole lot of evidence that is substantiated in the public realm. So there's little bits and pieces that are being speculated upon. One of these stories involves the biggest YouTuber out there, Mr. Biast, I think is how he pronounces his name. And then the other one is Candace Owens and the cozy relationship with Andrew Tate that goes beyond what many of us have seen on screen. So there might be something to be learned there. Again, not making accusations. These are just things that came to attention and provoked legitimate questions and have yet to find answers to some of these things. That's why I say this is the speculative part. We're looking into these things to find answers. The answers aren't as readily available and evident as everything that we have played heretofore in this stream of consciousness. So, from the Mr. Beast angle, there's a couple different, like if you need a summary on the situation, the most egregious accusations are about what people these days call a PDF, which Adobe, I'm sure, does not like for their document file system. But because it's a different type of file and it is kind of PDF, if you had to abbreviate it. So, anyway, that's how they say pedophile these days. The young people, they're calling it PDFs online. And so the PDF that worked with Mr. Beast on his productions, that's awful. But was that the only thing that was going on? Like, was it an isolated incident and that thing happened? Or is his entire system created on using psychological warfare, behavioral, Skinnerian operant conditioning, these sort of things that I would never teach adults to use in a situation with other adults, let alone have adults using them on a target demographic under 18, right? Like, it's unethical for adults to use these things. It's very unethical for people who are like from the billionaire funding class targeting a large demographic through the use of YouTube, with YouTube sanctioning it and saying, great job, right? Those types of, so there's a whole Mr. Beast iceberg. And so from like the trivial things, the so-called trivial things, like just targeting a young audience with psychological warfare, all the way down through the sexual abuse and the history of that, it's a big deal. So I don't want to treat it trivially, but also there's a lot of accusations that are made that are unsubstantiated. There's a lot of people getting a lot of clicks. Some of them are taking money for it. Other people, like Dogpile 404, not taking money through the clicks, apparently monetized some other way, probably. We have yet to see. So it's a fog of war situation, not making judgments, not making accusations. We are merely just going as a research group to look through some of these clips and, weigh the evidence, because the evidence continues to change week to week anyway. So we're just going to weigh it for this week. So, Mr. Beast, hush money bombshell, viewers demand apology. Yeah, that's not going to work or happen. And then the second one is, what's really going on with Candace Owens and Andrew Tate? And then if we have questions out of these two, there's a couple sub videos that we could get into more evidence on these topics. But let's just unfold the first one. It comes from Jeremy at the quartering. Let's learn a little bit about Mr. Beast hush money. Hush money.
Terrible news for Mr. Beast, including some very questionable claims of massive payouts, cover-ups, and all sorts of things like that. It's absolutely just brutal to watch. And by the way, leave a like on the video if you also know what I'm about to say. All he had to do, all Mr. Beast, by the way, the biggest YouTuber on the planet, okay, the biggest content creator on the planet, all he had to do was say, yo, this guy did some bad stuff and I fired him. Instead of saying that, he decided to double and triple down on protecting them because, in my opinion, they were a member of a particular community. Because, in my opinion, he was a member of a particular community, Mr. Beast's entire media empire is now facing massive levels of scrutiny. Before we get into the rest of that, just a super quick word from this video's sponsor. Do you get stressed because your monthly income just doesn't cover the bills anymore? 888-879. Now, I don't know, because I don't have a time machine, if he had come out and said, hey, this individual employee of mine did some bad things and I disavow, how the left would have responded to that, because this individual is trans, He has biological male has decided that he wanted to be a biological, or he wanted to be a female, and he abandoned his son. Many people say anyway. Many people have given that criticism. And instead of just saying, hey, look, I don't support this individual sending these messages, he tried to cover. And now it's turned into perhaps the biggest media firestorm in history. Mr. Beast released a new video. It's currently #1 on trending. It's hard to deny that. It also, according to the YouTube dislike extension, has 1.2 million dislikes. This is the most disliked Mr. Beast video, I believe, in history. It hasn't yet started, or it's only been a little bit of time. So if we go back to this video, it has 2.4 million dislikes. So we're going to see if it can, pass that. Again, all he had to do was come out and say, I disavow this guy's behavior. I fired him and I'm sorry. But instead, he was worried about the woke left canceling him because that individual who happened to do bad things also happened to be trans. So he didn't want to do that. He never came out and said, hey, actually, this is probably bad. I don't support this. I don't think we should, instead of just simply disavowing and moving on, Mr. B said, hey, I think I'm going to get woke and get sensitivity training going for my employees. Former Mr. Beast employee claims that he turned down a nearly $200,000 payment and apology. Dumb. He should have taken the money. Jake Weddle, one of the former Mr. Beast employees who have levied claims against the creator, claimed that Mr. Beast reached out to apologize and offer him $200,000. However, he declined and made a counteroffer. Mr. Beast has been publicly silent since the claims against him arose, but several people who have worked with him in the past claim to have spoken to him since. Weddle is now yet another one of the creators on that list. He showed the text with Jimmy in his video. It says, hey, Jake, I'm an employee at Mr. Beast, and I just overheard James talking about your interview. He's really upset and plans to take action to control the narrative. And there's talks about a PR spinning this, and they might reach out to you, but it doesn't sound like they're coming in with good intentions. Just wanted to give you a heads up. So apparently in this, there are various, replies to it. Talking about what are our options. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be spending this amount of money, at all. I wouldn't be turning it down either. Probably 200 grand cash is a lot of money. Quote, hey, I wanted to reach out and say, I didn't mean to cause you mental stress with that video. This is an original creator that came out and said, hey, we're going to do like the solitary confinement thing. It didn't go well. So Mr. B said, clearly it had an effect on you. You mentioned you'd like to be paid out the rest of the prize money, the other $190,000, and I'd love to make things right with you. I have zero expectations of you mentioning me sending this money or taking down any videos. This is just me wanting to help out and make sure you're good. This was followed by Mr. Beast asking about his banking information to see where he could send the cash. However, Weddle claimed that he declined the full $190,000. Well, Weddle's an idiot. Weddle's an idiot. He should have taken the money. Sorry, dude. Whatever internet clout you're going to get off the internet, off making YouTube videos, quote unquote, exposing Mr. Beast, is far less than taking 200 grand. Especially after he said, hey, I don't have any expectations of you taking down videos, and I don't, you should have taken the money. And I promise you, in 6 months, he will agree with me. I just know. The personal apology, the person-to-person thing, there were no lawyers around. There was no camera in face. I respected that. That's how I would have wanted to go down, but I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it. It's still a mechanism of the game. It's still the rest of the prize money. That's not what this is about. That said, Weddle was conflicted, claiming he needed the money. So he spoke with Mr. Beast and settled on 50 grand instead. What would have happened to 190? Enough cash to get him through some essential bills and pay off student loans. Why didn't he take the 200? This is so weird. And while the former employee appreciated the apology directed to him and took that as much money as he was comfortable with, he felt as if the YouTuber had still had a lot to answer for. So what? He thought that people would say, oh, well, you only took 50 grand, so suddenly you're still a victim? I don't know. Take the 190 grand. That's what this is all about, and move on. At least in my opinion, of course. But you know what? Jake Weddle is still getting 500,000 views per video. Hey, Jake, I work at Mr. Beast. So he's still getting, 500,000. But at some point, he has to look at the long term of this and think, am I going to make 200 grand? I don't know. I guess part of me is saying, part of me wants to say, okay, well, I think it's good that he stood on principle. But if he took 50 grand anyway, then I don't really care. That he should have taken, if you're going to take 50, you should have taken 200. I mean, that's just 40-year-old me. This guy's just a kid. Of course, Drama Alert reporting that Mr. Beast's growing has slowed down. He's still earning a paltry 120,000 subs a day. I mean, sure. But then you see this article in Deserto. Mr. Beast fans demand answers as YouTuber uploads new videos and ignores allegations. Again, Mr. Beast is the largest YouTuber on the planet. His target audience is kids. He hired not one, but two people that took advantage of that. And again, all he would have had to do is just fire them and say, yeah, that's bad. Obviously, they're fired. But because, at least in my opinion, one of them was trans, he refused to do that. He was too worried about the woke left and Amazon, who he has a deal with, and all this other stuff. He was worried about them giving him backlash to firing a trans employee, so he refused to do it. And now things have gotten way worse. Despite much controversy surrounding Mr. Beast and the working conditions at his company, the YouTuber has opted to release videos and just moving on, launching his toy brand. The video titled 7 Days Stranded in a Cave shows Mr. Beast on the expedition through the New Zealand caves. It garnered 10 million views in 3 hours. And despite dissenting comments and negative sentiment on social media, the YouTuber has continued business as usual. The latest video doesn't address or even acknowledge the controversy. By the way, if Mr. Beast were to pay me, I know that there's some duality here, as Kamala Harris would say. If Mr. Beast asked me, Jeremy, the quartering, what do? I would absolutely advise him to do exactly what he's doing. Because his 10-year-old audience, these kids that watch his videos, have no idea that anybody's, that he's even in any kind of controversy. In fact, when you watch on the YouTube, the YouTube Kids app, you can't even see comments. So everyone who is young, who's watching that kind of stuff, they don't even know that there's a controversy. So evil Jeremy, if Mr. Beast was like, hey, I'm going to pay you X dollars for I would say don't acknowledge it. Because if he uploads a video to his main, then everybody's going to know about it. He literally can't. Now, he can do a tweet, or he could do a live stream, or he could. But if he uploads a standalone video where he's like, yikes, I did all these things are bad, it would be very, very, very bad. And a lot of the pushback that he's getting, or backlash, is a lot of stupid, worthless stuff. It's not even that big of a controversy. Just fire the individual who happens to be trans but acted poorly, and fire the other guy that you hired who was on, quote unquote, the list. Because now you're starting to see people are getting a little tired of the grifting. Internet anarchist writes, Jake, I don't want an apology from Mr. Beast. I don't want any Mr. Beast money. I want blah, 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 blah. 1 week later, Jake, I accepted $50,000 from Mr. Beast. And again, I'll tell you right now, stupid, should have accepted $190K if that's what it was. Dumb. If you're going to grift off it, cash out. Right? Here, this article from 2 days ago, Mr. Beast is in and over his head. I mean, this isn't going to stop. Chris Tyson, Mr. Beast's creepy coworker, now apparently there's emails that have come out from their lawyer. Why the F has no one reached out to me? Why is your law firm trying to scare me into thinking we set forth new post-employment obligations in our transition agreement? This is absolute BS. have as many lawyers look at the evidence as you want. They're all going. See here. This is from Chris. Hello, I was informed the Mr. Beast HR team was investigating regarding my report was completed. Now they're being reviewed, blah, blah, blah. Jess, a second firm is reviewing the information you shared with the company. I mean, like, they're trying to use lawfare and push back and just keep everything as, contained as possible. And it's working. To be honest with you, it's working. YouTubers like me are covering it and saying, hey, this is nonsense. This is crazy. But he's still getting huge views. I mean, like, I look at this, I'm like, oh, 117,000 views. That's cool. Oh, wait, it was 117 million. This video had 225 million. This last week's video had 156 million. This video already has 50 million in a day, so it's going to have 125 million. So, ultimately, we don't know what was attached to the $190,000 offer. We don't know that. So maybe there was like, oh, take the 190, and then if you do, then we'll allow you to, then you have to say you lied, or we don't know what was attached to the 190. But we do know he took 50, and it just makes him look a little bit off. I say get your money, but I also say YouTube, if YouTube doesn't act, which I don't think they will, Mr. Beast is going to be fine. So we're going to just have to see how this plays out. It doesn't look good for Mr. Beast, but the people who watch his videos don't seem to be educated on all the controversies. It'll be interesting. Let me know. You think Mr. Beast is done, or you think this is just much ado about nothing?
Mr. Beast has new allegations about committing fraud, manipulation, and a lot more. This was exposed by a former employee who collected evidence causing Mr. Beast to have serious allegations. Some of his videos are supposed to contain a lot of subscribers participating in events, while oftenly being his friends, mutuals, or even employees. He allegedly rigged videos to manipulate outcomes. The contestants' outcomes were predetermined, reducing the fairness of the contests, and used the influential manipulation strategy. Young viewers were misled into thinking that they could win prizes by subscribing or purchasing merchandise. According to the former employee, it goes like this. Make them gain trust in Mr. Beast, prove it by showing the viewer that he gives big rewards to people, asking to help Mr. Beast and promise rewards in return. Another accusation is that a lot of the videos are faked, with Mr. Beast admitting it.
I actually have to dial back my content sometimes just so people think it's real.
More fraud allegations are about that he sold fake signatures that were misrepresented as authentic, and conducted illegal lotteries that involved gambling with people's money, where he claimed you could win by making a purchase while the chances of winning were rigged. And since a lot of minors are watching, he basically promotes gambling to children, and that happened with a lot of other content by him as well. He's also accused of scamming people where the viewers buy products but never receive them. One more detail to add is that he sold his Feastables, which is overall a chocolate brand, as very healthy, saying that there is a golden ticket, teaching kids gambling to win.
Mr. Beast is teaching us gambling?
And with a very famous YouTuber ending up winning, which is very shady. There, I saved you a minute. Tag me later.
All right, so the past year or so, Candace Owens has been very outspoken against Israel, and it's caused a lot of controversy. Some people think she's finally waking up to all the corruption and she's doing the right thing by calling it out. Then others think she's just out of her mind. And some people are even reporting her and asking why she isn't banned on YouTube or Twitter, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I mean, if you're pro free speech, I think you should let her say whatever she wants, as long as she's not inciting violence or anything like that. But obviously she hasn't done that. So if you disagree with her, I think the best option is just to respond and try to correct her or debate her. And personally, I really don't know much about the Middle East and Israel, so I couldn't tell you what she's right or wrong about, and I don't really care enough to defend or support her. Even though at the time when she got fired from Daily Wire, I thought that was kind of ridiculous, and I talked about it on Patreon, and I also talked about her beef with Rabbi Shmuley, and I took her side in that because that dude was just out of his mind. So since then, I've been kind of keeping up with her, but recently I listened to the interviews she did with the Tate brothers, and it led me down a crazy rabbit hole that I'm going to try my best to explain throughout this video. And I'm sure some people, when they just heard that, are like, oh no, is this going to be some crazy anti-Semitic Jewish conspiracy theory rabbit hole that he got sucked into? But it has nothing to do with that, and it's more about Candace Owens and her relationship with the Tate brothers. So before I get into it, I just wanted to play this clip from her interview. And she was talking a lot about how pretty much everybody in power is a degenerate pedophile that's been compromised by Israel. And Israel uses that as dirt to try to blackmail them so they can control them and have power over them.
But I just didn't like how many times I kept finding in the history of Israel and in the president of Israel defense for pedophiles. It just didn't work for me. Like, that Zionists were so hardcore about Israel, were defending pedophilia. And when you can then trace that, and it's funny you talk about the streets, these were people that were weapons dealers and drug dealers that then started Hollywood, right? They started Hollywood. Charlie Chaplin, who was under one of their thumbs. And we know that a lot of these people in our government are being blackmailed. I wonder why. I personally want to hear my conspiracy theorist. I think pornography websites are basically, they're able to figure out what your demented interests are. So these people, they're making you more and more perverse, more and more perverse. Suddenly you're watching some weird stuff, and then they got you watching some 12-year-old girl, whatever it is. Boom, you're under their control. And I think this is what Jeffrey Epstein, all of this stuff is about, getting men who would be in positions of power to acquiesce to some pornography, and then they're under their control. I really believe that, of the most extreme form of blackmail, which is if we know that you have engaged in pedophilia, that you've been involved in any of these weird sexual scenarios, we can control you in office.
So when I heard Candace talking about all this, I just thought it was kind of ironic she'd be saying all this to Andrew Tate, of all people. I'm like, why does she have him on her podcast? Why would she want to be friends with him? I mean, she's talking about how bad adult content is and how the people that produce it use it to get people into some sick stuff, which eventually leads to them doing something with a child or doing something illegal. And then they use that as blackmail to control them. And I was just thinking, okay, if that theory is true, couldn't we apply that to Andrew Tate, who's known for making pornography? I mean, that's how he made all his money. And some of his old tweets, back around 2019, 2020, this guy was completely unhinged. He would tweet stuff like, I made corn, I made so much of it, I made millions. You consume it, I am God, you are a loser. He'd also say, I super hope everybody gets addicted to it and it ruins everybody's lives. I hope everybody suffers. I don't want to help at all. Keep watching the cam girls. I want more money. I hope you're miserable and unhappy. And people keep telling me making it is bad, it's a sin, haram, what you're doing is illegal. Maybe, I don't care. I will F your Christian and Muslim girls in one of my supercars and in one of my mansions. Then I put them on a webcam. Keep your legality, God, Allah. You're broke, sad, lonely, and dumb. So I was thinking, why would Candace want to be around somebody like this? I mean, even if these tweets are 4 or 5 years ago, if you're going to be calling everybody degenerates and try to call out how bad adult content is and everything, doing it with Andrew and Tristan Tate probably isn't the best idea. But then I started to put the pieces together, and I realized Candace actually met Tate around this time, when he's putting out tweets like this is when they first met. And she met him through her husband, who had already been good friends with Tate, and he said they go way back, and he said he knows Tate really well. And if you're not familiar with her husband, George Farmer, he's a British aristocrat. His dad's a British lord, and his family's worth a ton of money, and he apparently inherited $70 million.
Interviewed Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time.
You've known Andrew Tate for a number of years. You were just with him for that interview.
Yeah, I've known Andrew for many, many years. I've known Andrew since before Andrew was Andrew. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've known Andrew since before he was famous, I guess. Andrew is a great guy. He really is, and he's a wonderful guy in many ways. Like all humans, he's flawed.
As I was having this dinner with my husband and his friend, Andrew Tate was there. I had no idea who he was. This is kind of before he really took off on the internet. I had my assistant at the time with me, who happened to be Romanian. She's born in Romania, speaks Romanian, happened to have been in the United States. She spent a lot of the time that we were there talking to him. She comes over to me afterwards and she says, this guy, Andrew Tate, I think he's a pimp in Romania.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense.
I said, what? And she's like, no, I think he's actually a pimp in Romania.
By taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange.
Off camera, I think he would be the first person to admit that. He's a flawed human being.
I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this. allowed me to retain 100% control of their income. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away.
I know Andrew pretty well, and as I said, I know that he's full of flaws.
And obviously Andrew claims he's changed now and he's a better person, but I mean, back then, which wasn't that long ago, I think just 4 or 5 years ago, he was clearly a terrible, awful human being. There's no way around it. And you'd wonder why somebody like Candace's husband would want to be friends with somebody like that. And I'm not saying this is the reason, but one time on Twitter, Andrew explained why people really wanted to be friends with him. And he said, everybody wants to be friends with the pimp. Doubt me? Epstein had access to pussy. Look at his friends list. It's basic human psychology. I have the assets every man who's not a hater wishes they had, and the next best thing to being me is knowing me. And if you remember when Tate first got arrested, everybody started comparing him to Epstein. And you would think, it's just people that hate him. Of course, they're going to do that. But it was actually people on the right that were making that comparison to try to defend him, kind of. People are like, Andrew Tate got arrested before any of Epstein's clients. Let that sink in. And whether Andrew Tate is guilty or not, they skip the entire Epstein client list because he's their enemy and the people on that list aren't. And the media is distracting us with Andrew Tate, so a lawsuit against JP Morgan for aiding Epstein's trafficking can fly under the radar. And I'm not saying any of these people are involved with Tate at all, but I think it's just funny they're saying this because it actually sounds like they're using Epstein to distract from Tate. And then also, if you get arrested and everybody's like, yeah, well, what about Epstein? What does that say? That is not a good look, especially if you consider Tristan Tate is being accused of trafficking a minor, and Andrew has professed his love for very young girls openly many times.
So you said it looks like I'm in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people, that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering, to be honest. That's exactly what you'd expect. Like.
I'm fucking all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is in America. 18?
It's 18 usually. You get married at 16.
All right, in Romania, it's 16. Sorry.
And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28. Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
Because Vivian's younger.
This away from me. No, I want a virgin wife at 16 who's going to obey me. That's what I want.
I was contacted by Andrew Tate, the older of the Tate brothers, 3 years ago when I was just 16.
So I messaged her. She's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a fuck. Not about me. 21, I don't care.
And before I go any further, I've been getting a lot of these clips and tweets that I'm using in this video from Murdered by Crayons and Milk Bar TV on Twitter. They cover a lot of the Tate stuff and they do a good job. So if you want to keep up with that, make sure you check them out. So going back to Candace's theory in the beginning about how people who produce adult content want you to keep getting into weirder and weirder stuff. So eventually you're doing something illegal. And if they have that dirt on you, then they own you. You're under their thumb and they basically have control over you. So I don't know why you couldn't apply that theory to Andrew Tate, who's known for making adult content, who's compared himself to Jeffrey Epstein, who is obsessed with money, power, and influence, and has had access to some high-profile people like Candace's husband. So if you apply that here, it makes you think maybe he made sure to get some dirt on her husband. I mean, I'm sure Tate is always thinking 2 steps ahead, and we've seen this with P. Diddy and Epstein in situations like that. Like, if you're going to have high-profile clients, you're going to make sure to get some dirt on them, because then if you go down, they go down as well. And then this would explain why Candace is suspiciously overly defensive of the Tates, because it's like she's defending her husband as well. And, it makes you wonder. I mean, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm just asking questions. Why was Candace defending a registered sex offender on her podcast who was convicted of abusing 2 young girls? To me, that's just kind of strange, especially considering how outspoken she is about this issue. So she did this when she was talking about one of Tate's alleged victims. She did an 1.5-hour podcast, basically just trying to discredit them. And one of the girls who was accusing Tate was also the victim in a few other cases. And one in which was when she was 15, her and another girl were abused by a yoga instructor, and he was sentenced to 24 years. He was convicted. But Candace and the Tates try to act like this guy was set up because the girl allegedly lied about her age, which, even if that's true, is still illegal. But Candace tries to defend him and act like this girl can't be trusted because she lies about her age, which is insane to say about a 15-year-old. And what's even crazier is Candace refuses to say the predator's name out of respect for him, I guess, because she says the victim's name like 100 times throughout this podcast and goes into all this personal information about her. But then when it comes to the She's like, I want to do the right thing. I want to be ethical. Since this case involves a minor, I'm not going to say his name at all. But yet she says the name of the minor like 100 times. And Candace starts by reading this statement from the Tates where they claim the girl's the predator because she has a history of getting in relationships with men in order to take advantage of them and extort them. And to prove that, she talks about the girl getting abused by the yoga instructor, Keith Fox. And she claims that he was pretty much taken advantage of because a 15-year-old girl might have lied about her age and tricked him into having sex with her. Like, Candace literally refers to him as a victim of hers and says that she ruined his life with these accusations.
According to them, again, if you want to take their word for it, Abby is a predator who has a long history of baiting men into sexual relationships for the specific purpose of destroying their lives. She has a chain of victims going back several years to when she was a minor. Her modus operandi is as follows. She devises sophisticated narratives to elicit compassion and sexual attraction from unsuspecting men. She uses these men as hosts, taking what she wants for personal, emotional, and economic gain. A serial extortionist and blackmailer who preys on successful men. On multiple occasions, she has accused innocent men of horrific crimes, resulting in their unjust incarceration. The case involves a man who I am not going to name, and the only reason I'm not going to name him is because at the time of the allegations against him, Emma was, in fact, a minor, and that, of course, is relevant. So we just want to be ethical here and not expose his name so that people can look up the case because, as I said, she was underage at the time. Essentially, it was believed that she was having sexual relations with him, and the courts found that to be true. And he is now been sentenced to 24 years in prison. Why is that relevant? Because since then, people are alleging, which we are going to get to, that she lied about her age and that she lies about her age repeatedly. And though, despite the fact that he is perhaps not a moral man, he did fall victim to her lying. Throughout this episode, by the way, you're going to hear some beeps when I'm discussing this case. If I accidentally say his name, we intend to just beep it out. Again, just to protect the fact that she was, in fact, a minor at the time of these accusations. To suspect that she was lying about her age. Now, remember, is serving a prison sentence. His life has pretty much been destroyed here. They believe, the Tate brothers believe, that was induced into an illicit sexual relationship with a minor under false pretenses. According to Marlon Fisher, performed deviant sexual acts in the bedroom, such as urinating on her during intercourse.
Yeah, so Candace Owens is a class act, defending and protecting a pedophile. I mean, that is disgusting. Even for her, that's low. I mean, her and the Tates are acting like this 60-year-old man is the victim and not the 15-year-old girl he was pissing on. That is just psychotic. But that shows how far she'll go to defend the Tates, which is a little suspicious to me. I mean, she also has a picture of Andrew and her husband in her home office. So those two are really close. And knowing that, if you go listen to the interviews they do, it seems like she's just trying to help the Tates do PR and do damage control. Like around the time they first got arrested, she interviewed Andrew, and it was clearly her just trying to help Andrew clear his name. She acted like, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of things. I'm being objective here. But it was clearly just a puff piece to try to make Andrew look good. And they both kept acting like everything Andrew did was over 10 years ago. Like they said that a billion times. They're like, if you took anything I did 10 years ago, it's going to look bad. But a lot of the stuff was way more recent than that. And according to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, the Tates were receiving income from their webcam services up until August of 2022. So if he wasn't being honest about that, why would I trust anything he has to say? Also he's acting like it wasn't that bad what he was doing. So why not just be open and honest about it? And of course, Candace doesn't question anything and goes along with it, even though she had to know he was full of shit. I mean, when she met him in 2019, she had a pretty good idea of what he was doing. Her assistant told her that she thought he was a pimp. So it definitely seems like she's just helping them do PR. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was given notes or a script or something. I mean, she clearly is going to do whatever they tell her to, which, again, makes you wonder why. And then you go back to the beginning and what she said, and it all starts to make sense a little bit.
First person in the world by people who pretended they'd never done anything wrong for the last 10 years.
Look at what he said 10 years ago.
So this video is from 10 years ago.
Looking back 10 years.
When you talk about Candace from 10 years ago.
So fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago.
The idea that you did something 10 years ago.
This is 10 years ago.
Talk about these things from 10 years ago.
Again, if you found Candace 10 years ago, that 10 years ago, from 10 years ago, it wouldn't have said said this 10 years ago.
Things from 10 years ago that
Because of things that you said 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago.
like, okay, 10 years ago, 10 years, a decade. For 4 years, I ran a webcam studio, which people find very interesting. I had naked girls sitting on the internet talking to guys.
So you don't, do you do that still?
I have 3 girls who still work for me.
The cam business is, it's still going because my most loyal girls will never leave me. That's why it's going.
If you look at anybody who made things 10 years ago, something's going to be stupid. Currently filming this during the COVID pandemic. You may be watching this later on, but right now during the pandemic, for the last 2 to 3 years, I've been making money on OnlyFans from its inception all the way up till now. Those old clips, my webcam company, things that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, so Candace and Andrew both know they're lying about this, but of course they're doing it because they need to downplay it since it looks terrible. And this is what Candace has to say about people who lie about stuff like this.
We were specifically told an angle, and that angle has been protected for a very long time for a reason that must be evil, because lies can only be served to protect evil.
Yeah, and I completely agree, and I think that's what's going on here. I mean, if you listen to her interviews with the Tates, it all just sounds like projection. I mean, it's almost comical. Like, half her podcast with Andrew was them talking about how everybody is a gay pedophile, and then in her interview with Tristan, she has the audacity to say this.
What's actually funny is that everything that they accuse people of doing is what they are.
Oh.
And this gets into, I need to do a full episode on this, but like the media is literally an ecosystem that was built to protect pedophiles.
Yes.
Right. And
I mean, this is unbelievable. Like, she's literally explaining what she's doing. You know, people obviously wouldn't consider her part of the media or like mainstream media, but she works in media for sure. And what is she doing, or what did she do in that clip I played earlier? She was literally trying to protect a pedophile by censoring his name and trying to make him seem like the victim. So she is just projecting like crazy. I mean, go listen to those interviews after you watch this video. Like, also she's talking about how everybody's gay. Like, everybody to her is a gay pedophile. And again, that seems like something she's projecting, because when I was looking into her husband, I heard quite a few rumors. He was allegedly a closeted homosexual, and he was actually accused of essaying a former Breitbart editor. And when the editor brought this up, Candace blocked him. And Candace once said, most people that lie for a living block people that expose them. So again, you can apply what she's saying to herself. And then also somebody asked this guy who accused her husband, they said, why would Candace marry somebody who's pretending? It doesn't seem like her. And he said, yes, I wonder why a perennial grifter, Candace Owens, would want to marry into the family of a wealthy British lord. Very difficult to figure out. Yeah, and also her and her husband got engaged after only 17 days of knowing each other. And when he was describing it, he said nothing romantic was even said before they got engaged.
It was very difficult to describe. Nothing romantic was said, you know, between that day and the day that we got engaged. Nothing romantic was said at all. You know, there was no overtures. Like, we didn't go for dinner. Like, we didn't take it. Nothing.
Send her flowers.
No, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Exactly. And so I was very clear about that, because it was almost like getting to know oneself in some ways. It was kind of a very strange experience. You know, it was like I saw myself in her. You know, and I was very willing to let myself fade and give glory to her. You know, that's how I view our marriage in many ways. Like, I'm very happy to take a secondary position to give glory to her. You know, I'm far less politically involved now than I was, because she's much more politically involved than I ever could be.
Yeah, so I think he's probably pulling some of the strings behind the scenes. Like, also, if you remember, he was the CEO of Parler, you know, that failed social media app. I don't know if it's even around anymore, but he was trying to pawn it off onto Kanye West, of course. I mean, Kanye is the easiest person ever to take advantage of. It's kind of sad. I mean, just look at the people around him. And also, if you look into what his dentist is currently doing to him, that's a crazy story. But thankfully, his Parler deal fell through. But when it was first announced, everybody's like, damn, Kanye's got to be the easiest celebrity to manipulate. And Candace Owens just ripped some money out of Ye's pocket. And George Farmer's out here laughing his way way to the bank, having pawned off the dumbest investment ever on a highly suggestible, mentally ill man, and Candace finessed Kanye. So a lot of people felt like they're ripping him off. And if you remember, even Joe Rogan recognized Candace Owens was a grifter after only one podcast. That's all it took. And he's surrounded by grifters, so you don't have to be the best at it to trick him, but Candace couldn't even last one podcast. And now with this Tate stuff, she's really exposing herself. I think she just got way in over her head with this. And it seems like she might have surrounded herself with gay pedophiles and is now kind of losing it. I mean, go listen to her podcast with Andrew. The whole time they're ranting about how everybody's a homosexual. And again, that seems like projection, because are we really supposed to believe that Andrew Tate isn't a deeply closeted homosexual? I mean, if you look into it, it's pretty obvious. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's plenty of evidence. First of all, for his business, he had a sex guys, which I guess he's doing for money, but either way, I mean, you can call me old-fashioned, but in my opinion, that seems kind of gay. And then also, I'm just going to read some quotes from him and try to tell me this isn't somebody coping with the fact that they're a homosexual. He said, "Any man who has sex with a woman because it feels good is gay. And kissing a woman is actually a sign of homosexuality." And then also during the Candace Owens interview, he said he sits around thinking about grabbing gay guys by the neck. And then also, just listen to him describe here how much he hates having sex with women.
"I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I f them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. I have met beautiful women with a good personality and thought, she will make me money. I have to f this bitch. I don't want to have sex with her. I just need the money."
If you have no chance of having a child from the sex, that's as gay as sex can be. Now, not many people know you can have gay sex with a woman.
Yeah, so it sounds like he's not enjoying having sex with these women. And he's also saying it's just a way for him to get what he wants. And it seems like what he wants is attention from other men. It seems like his entire existence is just trying to get validation from dudes. So I think Andrew Tate is just very confused, and he clearly just uses women, and I'm sure he's doing the same thing with Candace Owens. Like, she's obviously just a useful idiot to him. He doesn't respect women. He doesn't think very highly of them. So what makes you think he would treat Candace any different? I mean, she's pretty much just his PR agent at this point, and also somebody to promote Hustlers University. Like, in the middle of both of her podcasts, like the one with Andrew and Tristan, she just started going on a rant about how amazing Hustlers University is. I mean, she spent like 6 or 7 minutes promoting it and talking about how great it is, which was hilarious. And it sounded like she's doing a sales pitch. She's like, why go to college and spend 6 figures when Hustlers University is only $49.99 and you can learn so much more, and I'm not like saying college is the best option for everybody, but to try to shill Hustlers University and act like that's something legit is just embarrassing. And again, like everything else she's been doing for the Tates, it makes you wonder, why would she want to do this?
I had not even realized how successful Hustler University was. It's a full disruption to traditional education system that most kids can afford and don't need to go into.
We played that clip last week. And if you don't have a plan, I mean, $49. There's 18 strategies. Even if it just takes away your own excuses to do something, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Look at the message, not just the messenger. But that Tate information is about to get worse, because LD slid me this through the tweetage over here in the DM. This video, would you like to play it, LD? Because I found this to be like not shocking considering what people are learning about this dynamic duo of Andrew and Tristan Tate. On screen there is Tristan Tate, and LD's going to press the magic buttons so you can hear his important message. Maybe he's running for president. Let's see.
Nobody covers this topic. Nobody. But I'm going to talk to you about how to have sex with virgins. When you run game like me and meet the women who I meet and roll in the circles I meet, you meet beautiful virgins sometimes. Me, I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year.
Hey, can you pause it for a second?
Date a virgin.
And just rewind it for a second. I wanted to interpret, bring a definition to what he's saying, because he keeps saying this word virgin, and people might not know or remember what that word means. Basically, it means some man's underage daughter. Let's put it that way. Can we all just like say it like that? Some dude has a daughter. She's underage. And this dude on screen is targeting them. Go ahead.
About how to have sex with virgins. When you run game like me and meet the women who I meet and roll in the circles I meet, you meet beautiful virgins sometimes. Me, I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. Now, how do you date a virgin when you're an ice cold player? There is a tactic which I'm going to share with you on how to date a virgin and how to take a girl's virginity. Now, the recipe hasn't changed, but the tactics and the implementation has certainly changed. Be their boyfriend for 3 months and be in a nice relationship with them. That is the recipe. I'm sorry, guys. You want to run into a virgin and fuck her the next day? Don't ask me how. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I don't even think it's possible. You have to be their boyfriend for an extended period of time. You then have to take her virginity on the 2nd month anniversary or something along those lines, and I'm going to teach you how to do it.
Wow, very impressive. I wonder if they teach about that at Hustlers University. They probably don't. That's probably like his more advanced brother class that they offer over there. All right, well, that's fascinating. And we have to pull the layer of the onion one more layer back. We heard about the ongoings of Mr. Beast. That's Jimmy Donaldson. And we just heard the illustrations by Andrew and Tristan Tate, both in their own way. Let's go a step deeper on each of these topics. We're going to go first to just part of a longer video. We're going to go to a short part of it. It's by someone you've seen here probably since Trump got shot. That Surprise Witness TV. And there was an analysis on Mr. Beast's cousin, the cousin Jimmy, and what you're going to find out about the relation to the, a franchise of restaurants and all sorts of other things that are kind of kept off the Mr. Beast radar. There's some substantial parts there. The part that I want to hope that is in actually this clip is the part about Jimmy's internal Mr. Beast documents targeting with psychological warfare his underage audience, because there is an overlap between these stories, and I think it becomes clear through watching the clips. The second clip's going to come from Jesse on Fire. It is opining upon the Andrew Tate newly recirculating pieces of evidence that have been out there for a while. So we're going to go through these 2 clips. We're going to go just a little bit deeper on each of these stories, because they do get more interesting and substantial as you get into them. And then we will be back to wrap up all the irony after this.
Hello, everybody. Who is Mr. Beast's mysterious cousin, James Warren? Let's investigate. I first heard about James Warren whenever I was reading this Time magazine article. Title right now is In the Belly of Mr. Beast, but I do think it's been titled different stuff, maybe. So this is the article right here. It comes with a video too. The video is on YouTube. Y'all can watch it if you want to, but this article is the one that accompanies the Time magazine cover. You may have seen it. This one right here. I'm going to turn on reader view because I can't stand these ads popping up on me. So this is the first time I ever heard James Warren in connection with the Mr. Beast story, and it is the James Warren, now his CEO. It happens in the paragraph where they're talking about the come up, the early days of the Mr. Beast verse. And this is around the time that Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson, had started to actually go viral. He had, I think, already done his counting to 100,000 viral video, and they're talking about him getting a manager, and that is the guy from Night Media, Reed Dukeshire. I don't know how to say that last name. I keep saying it wrong. I'm not doing it on purpose. I don't know how to say it. But Reed is talking about how he used to sleep on a mattress in Jimmy's extra bedroom when he first moved into his house. But then just this one little throwaway sentence right here. It says another house guest was his cousin, that's Jimmy's cousin, James Warren, now his CEO. The paragraph goes on to say his mom has worked for him since 2017. Her role seems to be similar to her job as a warden at a military prison, keeping an eye on things. So her job at Mr. Beast Empire, at the Enterprises, is a prison warden-like role, according to Time magazine, and she's supposed to be keeping an eye on things. This is where we learned that Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, does not have access to any of his bank accounts, right? So this is the first time I saw anything about this James Warren guy, okay? The next place he came up was on this business filing with a company called Rubber Duck Company based in North Carolina. Let me pull up the Secretary of State's public website. Now, these are the filings for the Rubber Duck Company. As you can see, the very first one ever was in 2019. That would be February 2019. And it was dissolved administratively in 2023. Now, I did have occasion to look into these filings. Let me pull up my second camera real quick. I'll show you what I found. Okay, here is the filing for the Rubber Duck Company, LLC. This is the incorporation document. As you can see at the top, it was incorporated on February 22nd, 2019. That's when the filing happened. And that was signed by a guy named Kevin Syed. This is a public document. Okay, the next one is an annual report. As you can see, it is Rubber Duck Company. We do see that same Kevin Syed guy again, and then listed as an entertainment company. And then as we scroll down to the bottom, who signed it? Manager James Warren. I've redacted this document. This is a public document, but I did redact it. The next one is an amendment. This is a statement of change of registered agent. And as you can see here, Rubber Duck Company, LLC, this one was filed in November 2020, and they changed the agent. And as you can see here, Jimmy's mom, Sue, signed the change of registered agent. And they changed it to this company called CT Corporation System. And just so y'all know, a registered agent is the registered agent for service of process. And that is whenever a company gets sued, who is going to receive the lawsuit paperwork? The registered agent. So they changed it from, in this case, it was that, I think it was that Syed guy or whatever, Kevin, and they changed it to this CT Corporation company. But we do see here, Sue is signing this time. Remember, the last time it was James Warren who signed. Okay, so I'm just showing y'all this to show you that James and Sue are both signing in the same capacity at this company for this Rubber Duck Company. Okay, the next year they file another annual report, and this time, 2021, we have again James signing again. This is in 2021. And then they don't file anything else. And at the beginning of last year, January 2023, they get this notice, and it would have gone to that agent for service of process. And it's just basically telling them if they don't file an annual report soon, which is required, then their company is going to get dissolved. It's going to be no longer be able to be active to do business in North Carolina. And indeed, no one filed anything. And then that's whenever you get this certificate of dissolution, which is an administrative dissolution. It's like, you know, paperwork technicality type of situation where they didn't file the appropriate filings. So the company is no longer in good legal standing. Now, in and of itself, that's not like, you know, against the law, or it's not bad. It's nothing wrong with it. That happens all the time. There's accidents, people forget, stuff like that. Now, keep that Rubber Duck Company right at the top of your mind, because we're going to circle back to it in just 1 second. But before we do that, I want to show y'all the other place where I did see James Warren's name, and that is on the following public filings. This right here is a public filing. This is on ProPublica. These are the mandatory filings for the charity, the Beast Philanthropy companies and enterprises. Now, it is doing business as Beast Philanthropy, but its actual legal entity nonprofit organization name is Mr. Charity. Okay. I don't want to show it on the screen, and I'm trying not to have to do too much editing to this video. I don't want to show it on the screen, so I'm not going to show all the addresses and stuff because I don't feel like redacting everybody's address and everything. But this is a public document. You can find it yourself. And I'll show y'all where James Warren does appear on this filing. Okay, here is the first place that James appears. This is on a schedule attached to those required filings. And as you can see here, this is a public document. It's free. Anybody can look it up. James Donaldson, that's Jimmy. He's the chairman. Sue Perisher, she is the president and the treasurers. And then look, third, James Warren. Okay, so not only was he a manager or member, whatever it was, for the Rubber Duck Company, but also he's a director on the board of the charity. Okay, he's a director of the Mr. Beast Philanthropy charity, and it says he works 2 hours a week. Now, we also have some other folks listed here. Kara Collins, don't know who that is, and Darren Margolius, and that is the South African guy who helps run the charity. I mean, I think he actually does run the charity. He appears on the charity channel. But there's one more place that James Warren, this mysterious cousin, does show up on this filing. So let me find that for y'all. Okay. Now, this is also in a disclosure statement. It's on that same form. This is a Schedule O. And this is where you have to tell them how the officers or the people who are directing the charity or the nonprofit organization, how they're related, and are there any possible potential conflicts of interest and stuff like that. So look, the first line here says board members are related as follows. Susan Perisher is the mother of James Donaldson. Okay, so Sue is Jimmy's mom. Then it says James Donaldson is the son of Susan, and it says, and the cousin of James Warren. Okay, so it definitely does tell us here that that is Jimmy's cousin, James Warren. And then Susan Perisher and James Donaldson are both employees of Mr. Beast YouTube LLC. Okay, so we learned two things from this particular filing, and this is the filing from 2020. We learned that, yes, this is the same James Warren that is Jimmy's cousin. And we also learned that Jimmy and Sue are related for the purposes of the conflict disclosure. We learned that Jimmy and James, so James and James, are related for the purposes of this. But it's very important, blink you miss it, to also note it does not say that Sue is related in any way to James Warren. So in my deductive reasoning, I would assume, unless they've left something out, that James Warren is Jimmy's cousin on his dad's side. Okay. So those two places are where I've seen James Warren. Okay. And there's a couple things I wanted to note. It's disclosed that he's related to Jimmy. It's disclosed that Jimmy and Sue are related, but it's not disclosed that cousin James is related in any way to Sue. Okay. So then there's been a lot of buzz going on about this James Warren. Okay. For example, on this video posted by Jake Weddle, August 7, 2024, we learned some more information about James Warren. In the description box here, he mentions James Warren. In this video titled The Real Reason I Left Mr. Beast, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, Jake says the following about James Warren. I have way more receipts on you, James Warren and the rest. Didn't need a PI. Call my bluff. I beg you. Okay. All right. Okay. Who's James Warren, right? There's another place we've seen James.
A trusted YouTuber source sent me a now deleted document that Dogpack404 publicly posted after initially releasing his very first video on Mr. Beast. This document outlines a bunch of new accusations against Jimmy and gives context to the ones that he's already made. Allegedly, according to the source, this was deleted shortly after Dogpack's video came out, around when it probably had 80,000 views or so. Well, since I have the whole thing, I'm going to read the entire document for you guys. And I'll also put the archive link in the description. And it gets crazy. Crypto scam allegations, fake philanthropy, and even at one point, there's a section dedicated to talking about how Mr. Beast might be working with Satan. Now, to be very clear before I get into it, I am not the one making these accusations against Mr. Beast. I'm simply going to be reading the document that Dogpack404 put together and summarizing these sections one by one. And one last thing, I'm also completely aware that I'm dropping this on the same day that Dogpack404's third and final video is supposed to be dropping. So this might end up just being a summary of his final video, but if that's the case, then you're welcome for the early sneak peek, so let's get into it. Introduction. My name is Dawson. I'm a former Mr. Beast employee, trying to expose what I believe to be highly unethical and illegal practices at the company. This document contains evidence for part 1 of this ongoing investigation. Here is the video I made on this part of the investigation. And then he links his I worked for Mr. Beast, he's a fraud video. Why am I doing this? Money? None of this is monetized. I'm happy to make $0 off of this, and then switch industries. Actually, after being let go from Mr. Beast, I was immediately hired by one of Jimmy's friends at the same rate. I stopped working for him by choice on the 19th of July, 5 days ago at the time of writing. So I'm actually losing money to do this. Clout? I've been in this industry for 10 years. I started as an on-camera personality, but switched to being behind the scenes and have enjoyed that life more. I've worked with big influencers, but always avoided the camera like the plague. I have no active personal social media, so I don't think I'm motivated by clout. I'm not responding to DMs or inquiries from the media, opting instead for Reddit AMAs, since they aren't monetized and everything is permanent in writing. And then he attaches a link to his Reddit AMA he made on July 22nd, just about a month ago. There will be a link to this in the description if you want to read some of it yourself. The document continues, "My reason for doing this is that I believe MrBeast is a corrupt organization that is bad for humanity, despite their glowing public image. I've been consistent before I got hired that I believe children use YouTube as a form of play, the evolved way to learn and practice skills for later life. I've studied play at length, and I would consider myself a first-generation iPad kid, so I understand firsthand the role content can play in a person's development. So I was often appalled when higher-ups at the company would talk about sophisticated ways to exploit children's psychological development for their own gain, while disregarding the well-being of those children. Recently, grooming allegations came out against MrBeast's co-star Chris Tyson." And then he attaches a link to a BBC article written on July 24th, 2024, with the headline, "MrBeast's co-host quits after grooming allegations." Of course, I'm sure by this point you all have followed the Chris allegations. If you have no idea what's going on, I have videos on my channel. They're up on screen now, and I'll also put them in the description. But the document continues, "I believe the company was aware of evidence against Chris Tyson long before these accusations came out, and they chose to protect her and try to cover up the evidence for a long time. MrBeast's secret formula. 1. Condition the viewer to see MrBeast as a trusted authority. 2. Show the viewer that loyal followers are given big rewards by MrBeast. 3. Call on the viewer to act and promise big rewards in return." And then he attaches an image that says, "The three major types of behavioral learning. 1. Classical conditioning. A neutral stimulus is associated with a natural response. 2. Observational learning. Learning occurs through observation and imitation of others. And 3. Operant conditioning. A response is increased or decreased due to reinforcement or punishments." And then he posts a link to a MrBeast 2 video, which is "I paid a lie detector to investigate my friends," and it timestamps it to the whole section with MrBeast linked up to the lie detector. And I'll just play part of it for you guys.
All right, hey, I'm going to give you a softball, all right? Have you ever faked a video?
No.
True.
That was an easy one.
And then Dogpack captions this, "He never lies." He then attaches a now unlisted video on MrBeast's channel, which is a 20-second clip from his marathon in large shoes video titled, "Are you subscribed?" And I'll just play the video for you guys.
You said you're subscribed to me? Yeah. Prove it. As you can see here, he is subscribed. Here's some money. Oh my God. Are you guys subscribed? No. No? No. Oh, darn. Okay, I'm going to get back to my marathon. Hit that subscribe button because you might bump into me in real life and it might make you a lot of money. Is he subscribed? You are subscribed. Here's some money. Have a good day. Oh my God, no! No! Thank you!
And then he attaches a link with the caption, "Exploring the influences of YouTubers on adolescents' identity." And the link sends you to a document with the title, "The YouTube Effect on Adolescents. Exploring the Influences of YouTubers on Adolescents' Identity Construction." And it's basically a research article on how YouTube affects kids. I'm not going to read the entire thing. It's like 17 pages, but again, it'll be linked in the description if you want. Fake videos. And then Dogpack attaches images of MrBeast's videos. He did show this in his first part where he shows the train, which he claims is CGI, the bus wheels, which he claims are CGI, the obviously fake explosion, etc. And then he says, "This video used tons of deceptive CGI, but Jimmy denied it on Twitter." Then he attaches more images, like the thumbnail for the world's most dangerous trap, an image of Mac Hopkins being a YouTube editor and probably trying to, show that he's an employee at MrBeast, and then a picture of XQC watching a video with the caption on it, "I don't know how I'd even fake that if I wanted to, lol." And then he continues with his document. "This video also used terrible CGI. The, quote, contestant is Mac Hopkins, former editor for Iraq," and he links to a video by Soggy Cereal, with the title Iraq: Lying, Doxing, and Fake Donations. This will also be linked in the description, but it's essentially, as the title suggests, an exposed video on Iraq.
They finally take off and land in the angle.
We did it.
The angle! The angle! And instantly our selfless heroes start talking about how they're going to be spending all of this money and selflessly support the struggling and bankrupting family businesses in the angle.
Now that we admitted to the angle, as I had previously mentioned, the goal was to empty the entire Iraq bank account in order to give back to the lack of tourism in the angle. So we had a lot of work to do.
So first of all, they paid a few $1,000s for these extremely nice cabins. Wait a second. Those cabins over there, well, remember what they look like. These look like the same cabins as where they assembled the ice bikes. These are the exact same cabins in the same exact resort as where they assembled the ice bikes. Called the Sportsman Lodge Resort, which isn't located in the angle, but in Wheeler's Point, Baudette, a town 200,000 feet away from the angle. Yeah, Eric, I know about the Sportsman Lodge Resort. You sweating yet?
But the document continues. Now he is a secret employee at Mr. Beast. Allegedly, he was an employee during this video. I've also heard rumors that this was part of his compensation, however, that seems speculative to me. Many actions/lines were scripted. Same with all the other Mac videos. Note Mac's involvement in faking videos with Iraq. Also doxing and bullying a pilot and lying about giving $10,000 to a struggling town during COVID. Which is also all stuff mentioned in the video that we just looked at. They essentially also name dropped the pilot that was mentioned in the video when he asked to remain completely anonymous. They bullied the pilot, just made fun of him, dropped his name. And since being a pilot is such a rare job at the area that they were at, it was extremely easy to find information on him with just looking up his first name. Then the document continues with more images of Mr. Beast's videos and thumbnails, like I survived 7 days in an abandoned city. And again, he showed this in his video, but like showing the buildings that don't really exist.
Are you down with people sleeping with 15-year-olds? Probably not, right? So if a person is accused of sleeping with 15-year-olds and then they show you a video of a guy saying, yeah, I love sleeping with 15-year-olds, are you in a good headspace if you defend that guy?
It hurt her at every moment that I was doing it, but it felt good for me, so who gives a shit?
So what? All right, Andrew Tate arrested in Romania. And I have heard the main takeaway that I've been hearing across the board is it's the Matrix. This guy, he didn't do anything wrong. Like Andrew Tate, he's just being attacked by the Matrix. I don't have any idea, right? I have no idea. What I do know is what I saw in this video. And this is the deal, dude. At the end of the day, Andrew Tate's own words are sinking him, dude. Like he's did so much content that like people just go back and they're all, hey, remember when he said this? Right? Remember that? Remember when he said that? And you're like, damn, dude. Listen, do I like Andrew Tate? Yeah, I do. I like listening to him talk. I think he's one of the smartest people that's in the game. I think that he does an incredible job of taking ideas that are very hard to make clear for people, and he makes them very clear. But good God, man, when it was 10, 15 years ago, whenever this was, when he was making content before he realized what his position was going to be here, I mean, he just he lit himself on fire in a way that you can't put out now. You know what I mean? Because now he's been arrested for sleeping with minors and for recruiting minors into this thing. And like, dude, there's nothing that you can't, that you're going to have a harder time like getting around as a content creator in the modern age than abusing women or being around or like, having any kind of a thing going on with minors. And he's got both. And like, I'm not just like going off of the newspapers. I'm going off of his own words. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and look at like what's in the media. And then I'm going to show you saying the things that I am talking about right now. Now, I'm always going to give you a fair take, and I'm not going to bury this guy, and I'm just going to give you the facts, man. Now, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because as I was telling my last group of viewers on my last video, on content like this, if it's not directly in combat sports, you are not going to see it if you are not subscribed to my channel. That is just what it is now. That my analytics are crystal clear on that. So if you want to continue to see my stuff, make sure you're subscribed, because more and more that is becoming the case. And let's rock and roll. All right, Andrew Tate put under house arrest as new charges emerge. Okay, so the controversial, blah, 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 blah. He and his brother Tristan appeared in court on Thursday afternoon. Tristan was placed under special judicial control. Prosecutors had asked the judge to remand the brothers in custody for 30 days while they continued a new investigation involving a total of 35 alleged victims, including a woman who was 15 at the time. In a statement, Romania's Agency Against Organized Crime had 6 people that had been detained in total. Romanians, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so you know, like exactly what happened before, right? These guys were in jail for like almost a year and they weren't even charged with anything. So yeah, you should be skeptical of anything that anyone puts in front of you about this. Again, the problem is that I'm going to show you videos of him bragging about exactly this, right? But here's what he said. He said, this is a setup. It's absolutely disgusting. 30 of those girls say we have done nothing wrong. 2 of their mothers, or 2 are mothers of our children. 2 have never even been here to Romania. Asked repeatedly by the BBC about allegations of a 15-year-old and trafficking underage, he walked away and refused to reply. Tate brothers have previously been charged with human trafficking, yada, yada, yada. So one of the foreign men is accused of forcing a 17-year-old citizen to perform acts in order to make online video content. He is said to have kept all of the $1.5 million in profit. The statement does not name him. The same man is accused of repeatedly having relations with a girl who was 15 years old when they met. After questioning, listen, man, bottom line, dude, they are going to get this guy in jail, man. They are trying hard. And you know, they already have it to where this guy is going to get extradited to the UK the second that the Romanian charges are done. I mean, like, we make fun of Diddy, like, not Diddy, like, I'm not comparing him to Diddy necessarily. I'm just saying that, like, we know Diddy's going to end up in jail. And it's like, that's what this appears to be. Like, they are going to get this dude in jail one way or the other, right? Like, they're still allocating resources to putting him in jail. All right, so let's look at what I'm talking about, which Abe and Preach have correctly titled self-snitching, okay? Now, let's watch this, and you guys tell me what you think. If you guys want to defend this, I want you to defend it in the comments. You tell me.
Don't ask me. Just watch them talk.
2 girls have claimed Andrew Tate approached them on social media when they still attended school.
PhD is a pimp and hose degree. So the recruitment process is you message them on Instagram.
I was contacted by Andrew Tate, the older of the Tate brothers, 3 years ago when I was just 16.
Daria was 16 when she says she received a private message on Instagram 2 years ago from Andrew Tate's account. It read simply, Romanian girl, followed by a strawberry emoji.
What do you inbox the woman? I live in Bucharest, Romania, but it doesn't matter if I'm in London, Bucharest, Moscow, anywhere I am. I just say Bucharest ? Or Moscow ? Or London ? Sometimes, because like I said, intrigue, I'll put a completely pointless emoji on the end. Some cherries, or an orange, or a strawberry.
I asked around to my other friends and my classmates who were also 15, 16 at the time. And a couple of them also told me they received messages.
So I messaged her. She's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a fuck. Not about me.
It was a pretty well-known fact that he had kind of a network of young girls.
You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck would I read for you? If you've got a fit sister who's 16, maybe.
Muslims have the best frame on earth. I want a virgin wife at 16 who's going to obey me. That's what I want.
You know, you said it looks like I'm in a
Bro. Again, father of 3 daughters. You know, I can't protect every girl on earth. What I can tell you is that if a video of a dude saying that came out and my daughter was like, and I had looked into the guy because my daughter's all, this is my new boyfriend. I'd be like, yeah, fucking right. That's your new boyfriend. That's your new boyfriend, assuming that guy wants a haircut. And by haircut, I mean remove his scalp from his skull. Me and that guy would have a real quick conversation. I'd be like, look, dude, I don't care what kind of game you're running, but the fucking game's over with my daughter. I mean, like, play it like jail, dude. You want easy prey? That is not what you bit off when you went after my daughter. This is the fucking opposite. Unless you want to put me in the ground. As long as I'm alive, you will fucking have a serious problem on your hands. You'll never know where it's going to come from. 16-year-old that's going to obey you? Fuck you.
Teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people, that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering, to be honest. You know, like, that's exactly what you'd expect.
I'm fucking all these 15-year-old.
You know who one of the guys was? That was Candace Owens' husband. You know how Candace Owens always defended this guy? Yeah. It's because her husband's really good friends with this dude. So she's talking about he's such a good man. Yo, if they weren't buddy or part.
He straight up just said, banging all these 15-year-olds. Okay? Banging all these 15-year-olds. Again, I have no problem saying this publicly because, you know, it's one of those things where, like, if I know there are a lot of people who are going to be like, hey, man, don't buy the whatever. You know, maybe I'll stay away from that topic on the channel, but go ahead and defend that, dude. Go ahead. Tell me about how it's, you know, hey, look, like, we need to cancel Mr. Beast because he had this dude over here who did whatever with and we got to cancel this dude over here, which I totally agree with. But it's totally fine if Andrew Tate's like, yeah, banging all these 15-year-olds, you're all 15-year-olds. 15-year-olds? What?
Admits to.
I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all of it to me. Give me it all.
You feel bad or no?
Fuck no. To give a solitary.
He can't help himself, dude. Like, he honest, like, he can't help himself. Because he believes in what I, generally speaking, believe in also, which is if you say something confidently, people can't judge you on it. It's like, yeah, dude, this is what it is. Except there are, you know, exceptions to that rule, right? Banging teenagers being one of them, extracting money from lonely dudes at home who are like sad and desperate. And they're like, oh my God, someone actually loves me. And he's like, give me all of it. Mortgage your house. Ruin your life. Give it all to me. You're like, hey, what's your net worth? He's like, why? I'm like, I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Right now, 50 million, 60 million, 100 million. And you're like, you want to destroy that guy's life for $70,000? $70,000? You're a wealthy guy, right? Yeah. You could spend 70 grand right now and not even notice it out of your bank account, right? Yeah. But you're down to ruin the dude's life, like absolutely crush him financially forever for an additional $70,000? What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway, so let's continue on with some of the other shocking things that were in this video.
Moral person does that. But
I've got my main, I bought Vivian. So Vivian here, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company. So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Vivian's younger. Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends. There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends. From 10 years ago.
I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen?
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend. And
she is a smoke though.
Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw in the video is just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy. He would never hurt anyone.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends.
Just what happens, you don't listen. Look at the camera.
Damn. Damn. So, if that is real, that video where he's slapping the girl around, I defended him on that. Belt around the neck. I was like, dude, because I knew when I was watching that, I could tell they're role playing. Didn't realize the girl was a teenager, but I knew that they were role playing. So I defended him on that. But if she was 14, I mean, good Lord. Now let's continue. Check this part out. Keeps on going.
Listen to this.
It's like taking the virginity of a really beautiful woman. I get to have this experience and no one else gets to have it again. It is a little bit better, but the real pleasure is in the fact that somebody else would love to have this, and I get it. That's why this is good.
Let me tell you something. I have an obscene number of girls on my resume, and I've been together with my wife for a long time, dude. A long time. If I'd been single this whole time, I honestly, I can't even, I would say an estimate and it would sound insane of where I'd be right now. Because my number's huge and I've been together with my wife for a really long time. And you want to know how many of them are virgins? None. Zero. Not one. The first girl that I had sex with had one person before me. And yeah, none. Not one. I had 2 girls in college that I knew for sure were, fresh like that. And I was like, and they were throwing it at me. And I was like, dude, you want to know why? Because I'm not a psycho. Because I didn't like them like that. They were hot girls, but I was like, I'm not going to date this girl. And I know what that means, dude. She gives that to you. You are this massive thing to her forever. That's like to a person who has actual emotional empathy. I know that I'm going to end up hurting her bad, dude. Real bad. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You think that shit's worth it to me to be like, oh, everybody would want this. And I just soul crush some girl emotionally. I would never do that. Many opportunities, did not take them. That's psychopathic to me. Straight up.
That makes sense. I'll give you that. I agree with that.
When you are in the true abundance mindset of you can have the pick of the crop, you can have the world's most attractive women. I mean, one of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
It's an abundance mindset. Yeah. I have so many girlfriends and so many wonderful girlfriends and so many virgins.
She is a Polish. She was.
I don't have any issue with anything he's saying except the virgin part, which is like, dude. I mean, that part's crazy to me. That shit does not turn me on at all. It's the exact opposite of that.
A Polish virgin. Man,
also the fact that he said 17, by the way.
It hurt her at every moment that I was doing it, but it felt good for me, so who gives a shit?
So what? They got money laundering?
What? That's not the most, that's a psycho right there, dude. There's a whole thing about money laundering and blah, blah. I don't care about money laundering. I don't care how anybody makes money as long as no one's getting victimized. I don't care. I just don't care. As long as you're not taking it from someone else unlawfully, I don't care. But that is psychopathic right there, dude. I have nothing to add to that, actually. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Nothing to add to that. Well, I think after watching that video, it's a lot easier to see what the persuasive element was that got Andrew Tate to convert from Christianity to Islam. 72 virgins.
Oh,
too soon.
No, you nailed it. Good.
Well, he nailed them. He just said that was him.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's really
him and Tristan, both apparently fans of the virgins, not just named Mary.
Yeah. That was quite the segment there. It's interesting. I haven't really been a big fan of Andrew Tate. Because of all this stuff. Now it's funny. There's so you guys know I listen to Owen Benjamin a lot. He did a ton right when Tate was really coming out and being famous. Really came out. It was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember him circulating. He's like, "Hey, there's a whole bunch of stuff over here."
Yeah, Owen was doing
I think because of the pandemic and Tate's updated rhetoric, people weren't making that connection faster than Owen Benjamin, who's an astute observer of the obvious, and he's quick.
Well,
but for everyone else,
he did a month deep diving. It was like every show for a month, he was just ripping him apart, and didn't even get to half of that stuff I've seen there. I don't even know if Owens seen that stuff because he's kind of going easy on. He's like, oh yeah, he's a man of God now and all this stuff. But some of that stuff is absolutely unforgivable, and so I don't think that's so I don't know, man. I hadn't heard any of that stuff. I was kind of shocked because part of me is like, okay, yeah, he's saying some good stuff against the New World Order, but it's now that I've seen that, I'm like, oh no, game over. So. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And then just all of this, it's it seems like this is all the new Nickelodeon. Mr. Beast is the new Nickelodeon or something like that. It's you just can't escape it. It's just insidious.
Well, Mr. Beast, to close the loops, if you watch that surprise witness 40-minute video It's a good video because she's basically capturing her line of inquiry. She's got her notebook. She's, so it's like like a problem solving catch the criminal type episode. It's like, Quincy or who was the other one? Columbo. It's like a Columbo episode in these terms. So she tracks it down. Spoiler alert, that cousin Jimmy, that part of the family has 300 and some Hardee's franchise locations. So they have restaurants and real estate. And then Mr. Beast later, of course, works those into his videos where he drives through the Hardee's drive through 1,000 times. That's like it is cousin's family, franchise. So there's a whole bunch of interesting aspects to that part. And then the other parts of Candace and her husband's relationship with Andrew Tate. And I did think it was a little weird. Like people fall in love and love at first sight. But a lot of times after 14 days, when there's like a proposal, they've had coitus, they've had romantic moments, they've had like things that changed their life. And that's why they're getting like married and engaged, right? Because that spark, it didn't sound like from his part there's any sparking going on. So I don't know, is that some sort of newfangled arranged marriage? Didn't they take the other chick from the show and marry her from America into the royal family? I mean, that's almost as Anglo-American establishment as it gets in some cases, But on the other hand, if that dude ran Parler and they crushed his business, they meaning the deep state, maybe she's allied herself with a faction that has some power over there, but they're just not the deep state globalist power. They're more of a local principality that they could align with. I don't know. We'll see how these things work, because I'm sure we're going to find out as weeks go ahead, as we get up close to this election season and all the good things that come with it. I mean, it's been like attempted assassination season. They've stopped allegedly several more attempts on Trump's life since the July incident. One of them was like Pakistan. One of them was allegedly Iran. I mean, I take those all with a grain of salt. It seems convenient to some people's budgets and foreign policy that those things would be going on. But the deep state's a wide and deep state. So you can't put it beyond their boundaries of doing those types of things and coordinating some way. Somehow they're going to stop Orange Man bad, because I don't think they can do it just by, mail-in ballots this time like they did last time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's already off to a heck of a start, but and like the plot twists are epic, man. And that's the thing, is like I was saying earlier, like I feel like there's a part of me that wants to get sucked into that just a little bit, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I maintain the position. I'm just gonna sit on the sidelines and laugh and be in awe of the trickery and the scandal and the chutzpah of the whole thing. Just gonna be like, oh,
chutzpah. Wow. That's a good Rabbi Shmuley callback right there.
Yeah.
RFK Jr. would be proud.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It is. And it's going to be continued. Now, if you haven't gone over to getautonomy.info yet and gotten your journey toward autonomy started, now's a good time to do it, because the podcast is winding up. We're going to land a little bit early tonight. That's good for Scott. That's good for LD. It's good for me. I have a very busy week coming up, and I can't be up till like 5 or 6 a.m. like the usual for landing this program. So I think we have all the necessary pieces in this week's time capsule. I will collect next week's time capsule pieces as they're unfolded in our shared reality. That's part of the fun of this gig. And I want to mention also, if I press this button here, it's not just autonomy that you need to check out, but the VIP4 Summit. And that's coming up in just 12 days. A whole bunch of cool people are going to be there. You can reserve your seat. It is no fee. It's for your education and edification. We do it, in other words, for your benefit. Saturday, September 7th, 2024 at noon. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And I also have a couple nice pieces to play us out tonight. But first, Scott, what are your sites? And I want you to plug your music videos, your event this week. And then we'll go to LD for the thank yous.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So, yes, so actually, I'm not going to be here next week. So, I'm actually speaking to Owen Benjamin, going to the Beartaria National Festival in Missouri.
Oh, you're going to be our reporter, Grand Theft World roving reporter?
Yep,
from
I'll
Beartaria?
report back. I'll report back from Beartaria. LD, you got to come out one of these days, dude. I'm telling you. telling you, it's awesome. Yeah, so rebunked.news is links to everything. Actually, libertylinks.io/rebunked is kind of the link tree that takes you to all the projects. And just Wednesday, rebunkedrecords.com is going to go live, and that's going to be the hub for the album that's dropping. Super proud of it, super excited, the whole project. So I would say, check it, rebunkedrecords.com for links to the live stream. It'll be live streaming on YouTube, X, Rumble, 8:30 Wednesday night, 8:30 Central Wednesday night. But you can just go to my X and you can get all that stuff. Same Rebunked news on there. So come and rock out, guys. Come rock out. It's going to be so cool. You guys are going to love it. I promise you're going to love it. It's hilarious. There's like some there's some twists. There's some gravy. Rich, you're going to be proud of some of the truth bombs in there. There's truth bombs. There's motivation. There's comedy and headbanging rock and roll. So there you go.
That's awesome. We need more Renaissance men out there.
Yeah.
You're leading by example.
Awesome. Thank you.
LD, how you doing, man? You getting out of work early tonight a little bit.
Yeah. We'll looking forward to hearing your music, Scott.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Sounds awesome. Well, I'll thank the Grand Theft World community members and a few tippers from tonight. Equality 7-2521 tipped us $10. Sorry for the shitty tip. I had to buy groceries and my bank account has been unburdened by what has been. Wow. Thank you.
Well played. Thank you for the
very good.
Thank you for the support, and I hope your the groceries are going to get more expensive. So I hope your income potential and value goes up, because that's the way to get over it and make those groceries seem less expensive. Thank you.
Yes, Queen. He wanted me to say that. Shan Theriel, $5. Another great show, guys. Keep doing the Lord's work. Thank you, Shane. Risha M, $5. Thanks. Enjoy your research weekly. And thank you, Risha. Tcan, $5, says thanks, GTW. And Brady Stewart, $10. Big ups for the Real Genius clip last week. One of my favorite 80s flicks. I want to request that you invite Ashton Forbes as a guest to discuss his research on the disappearance of Flight MH370 in 2014. He's crushing it lately.
All right. So thank you for that tip. Is that the guy that talks about the green orbs going around? Because I might have seen some interviews for him or with him. I wanted to share this because this was mentioned earlier, right? Space lasers. So that's the book by Mike Rothschild. This is the fundraiser so that you're not supporting such hate speech out there. You do the fundraiser and you can be a mover against the hate speech. Anyway, these space lasers probably had nothing to do with MH130. They probably had nothing to do with Michael Lynch's yacht and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to say, even though it was mentioned and there's a book on it, it's not like a serious thing. And you can do, fundraiser and be part of the Mazel Tov squad and be against the hate speech right there. Get them on Amazon, all this good stuff. All right. With that being said, I'll consider the guy with the green orbs and the disappearing plane. But thus far, I'm still looking for evidence on that topic.
Classic. That's funny.
All right, that was it, LD?
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Scott, libertylinks.io. Is that someplace that's just like Linktree, but for Liberty people?
Yep, that seems to be it. It's like a censorship resistant one, I guess you could say. Libertylinks.io. Yep.
I'm going to go and set up at that place because I also have the Linktree /Richard Grove. If you guys need my content or want to share my content and our content with other people, the Linktree and libertylinks.io, those links are good because people have many choices when they go there. They have a better chance of making a connection, and it's actually a smart way to share contact information these days. So I'm going to check this out and up my game as well. And if you made it to the end of this episode, you're up in your game as well, and you're going to enjoy what we have here. So I'd like to thank you. Here at the end, I'd like to thank you guys all for tuning in and not dropping out. Here's a double feature of J.P. Sears and a new song by Tom McDonald to play us out. Peace. See what they do in the next week.
Dude, did you know people with the vax still get COVID? I thought that's why they got the shot, so they wouldn't get it. Yeah, apparently the Russia collusion isn't real. So Kamala hasn't exactly been democratically elected to be the candidate. Seems like people should be able to vote for who their presidential candidate is. I don't know if that guy actually is a woman. Yeah, honestly, that roof didn't seem that sloped. Now, I certainly don't believe everything the guy says, but Alex Jones told the world what Epstein was up to 20 years ago. How come nobody did anything? So if by 2030 we owned nothing, would we really be happy? Seems kind of weird. Yeah, there's a lot of censorship going on, but did you know throughout history only the bad guys did censorship? Wait, Hunter's laptop wasn't real? Do you know why only Trump supporters put up American flags? Yeah, so let me get this right. A month ago, Kamala was so unlikable that they couldn't run her, and now they're telling us she's beloved by all? Like, who? Exactly. This is so weird. How come all these different news stations are saying the exact same thing? It's almost like someone gave them the same script. The media relentlessly bashing him, they impeached him, they raid him, they arrest him, they convict him, they try to imprison him, then they try to assassinate him. And I know this will sound crazy, but it's almost like they're politically persecuting Trump. 2020, it looks like they rigged it. Sloped roof, give me a break. Looks like it could have been an inside job. Dude, it looks like the shot is actually killing people. Drag queens reading to kids? I don't think that's about literacy. Alex Jones is right about a lot. It's just nothing is as it seems. I think it might be better to do our own thinking. I don't know, the DNC, what they did to Bernie, Tulsi, now they install Kamala with no democratic process. What if they're just installing puppets to serve the agenda of their puppet masters? I think they did a coup on Biden. Alex Jones is right about a lot. So the guy that put tampons in all the boys' restrooms is saying Trump is weird? I think there's a lot of communist subversion happening here. I don't know, it's like the deep state is running everything. Obama's been running everything. They're trying to kill masculinity. They want us all weak. Dude, have you read 1984? Well, you don't have to because we're living it. I need to get more supplies. The thing is literally a death shot, mark of the beast. It's so obvious. They're trying to depopulate the earth so the human population is easier to enslave so they can have complete totalitarian control. They're trying to do this now.
Who's they?
Them. Don't you get it? None of this is real. This is all a simulation. They got us plugged into the Matrix. You think the moon landing's fake? Bro, the moon is fake. Look into it. It's illegal for them to collect taxes, so don't pay your taxes. Yeah, Epstein was a CIA asset. Educate yourself. I don't watch Alex Jones. I study Alex Jones. I'm pretty sure Jesus and QAnon are the same person. How exactly could the earth be round? Just think about it. Taylor Swift and the central banks. Look into it. Oh, how could someone not know about Big Mike? Ugh. Bro, did you know about all this?
Yeah, I've known it for years.
How come you didn't tell me?
I did, but you just called me a crazy conspiracy theorist and started rage screaming at me.
Oh. Well, I probably shouldn't have done that.
I think the world's gone brain dead. Since when did everybody identify as they, them? Cut up all their penises and trade them for some fake breasts. I ain't homophobic, I got gay friends. I just think it's weird that the world's so offended. They tell us fat is beautiful while they take an Ozempic. They wanted to get rich and they started a pandemic. And they really want to win, so they're rigging the elections. Everybody's offended by everything every second. And anytime that I mention that men can never get pregnant, I get aggressively threatened by kids with 17 genders who think a word is a weapon and want to teach me a lesson. And it's crazy, P. Diddy diddling rappers and hitting women on camera. Conviction ain't gonna happen, hit the evidence. Instead of putting him in the slammer cause he's too rich to be canceled, we try to fill a prison cell with the president. Born in Canada, moved to the USA, where you're probably a racist if you're not gay. All of my blacks, all of my whites, if you on the left, if you on the right, if you got a weenie and or the genie, they, them, he, she, everybody needs me. All of my straights, all of my gays, all of my guys who swing both ways. If you got a weenie, tatas and peepees, they, them, he, she, everybody needs me.
One the doctor, tell him save me mad. Me to see one rapper, he a chi-chi man.
I think the world's gone mad. Do black lives still matter, or is trans the new black? Every time I rap, I got them crapping their pants. They having cardiac arrest like they all had the jab. It's weird, take a look at your history. You're yelling free Palestine, look what happened when you freed Britney. Your children ain't gay, they've been watching too much Disney. Eminem fans praying shady will diss me. Everybody's so triggered that I just keep getting bigger. They want a Morgan Wall in me like Tom McDonald said. I just wanna know about which rich celebrities kiss kids. The Epstein list is hid from existence. I don't wanna be nobody other than me. I wanna choke the woke until they struggle to breathe. Hollywood is a joke and I'm exposing the creeps. Like Ellen Page ain't a man if she's squatting to pee. Born in Canada, moved to the USA, where you're probably a racist if you're not gay. All of my blacks, all of my whites. If you on the left, if you on the right, if you got a weenie and or the genie, they, them, he, she. Everybody needs me. All of my straights, all of my gays, all of my guys who swing both ways. If you got a weenie, tatas and peepees, they, them, he, she. Everybody needs me. Don't call me a white boy, I identify as black. My pronouns are the ones you didn't use, so now I'm mad. My hunters go hunting while your hunter's smoking crack. I can't say the R word, so y'all are handicapped. All of my blacks, all of my whites. If you on the left, if you on the right, if you got a weenie and or the genie, they, them, he, she. Everybody needs me. All of my straights, all of my gays, all of my guys who swing both ways. If you got a weenie, tatas and peepees, they, them, he, she. Everybody needs me.
One the doctor. Tell him save me mad. Me to see one rapper. He a chichi man.
Conspiracy is the story of history. It's the story of plunderers taking care of people who produce. They claim to take care of them through government, which doesn't give you anything it doesn't take away first. So it's not creating something out of nothing. It's very real what they're doing. They're taking your rights or taking some people's rights and adding more to someone else's rights.
If you haven't heard about our Grand Theft World community membership, here are a few of the things you've been missing. A mobile app where you can access replays of the Grand Theft World podcast and show notes. Access to the Grand Theft World community on Discord, where we crowdsource news and resources, and you can contribute to the show. The opportunity to participate in the Grand Theft World bi-weekly town hall. Exclusive content from Richard Grove, including behind-the-scenes footage and future access to unpublished material. 93 episodes of the Peace Revolution podcast, and the Grand Theft World newsletter delivered straight to your inbox each week. If you want to stay ahead of the great game, visit us at grandtheftworld.com, click or tap the button in the top right-hand corner, and join a vibrant community of researchers blazing a new path to truth. We'll see you there.
As I unfold the groove, tune in and not drop out. Not to cop out the post beers, remove music. This wealthy cat was moving, stack of cash in sports cruiser, major accent deals mover, promoted fast like homeschoolers. Then noticing one day some bills that went unpaid. Those crumbs they led one way, discovered some unfun game. Then he was called into a meeting to disrupt and expose. But that was the day that the world froze. So stuck in the traffic and then caught in the panic, he dipped out in a frantic speed to exceed the seed planted at the event. And what would soon come, connecting dots to be revealed in Project Constellation. Big props to Maria, broadcasted, that's where I'd hear and get hooked on the name of Richard Grove. What he's saying is hypnotic. Synchronicity came out like chronic, all in full stride. Compadres around all sides, seeking sources to provide solution. The heavy-handed knowledge is Willie saying the peace revolution. Never knowing I was missing a blessing. The heaviest session recorded and revealed the ultimate history lesson in this quest. And I'm a Midwestern who's rocking it dope. Subscribe to media produced by Tragedy and Hope. And if you didn't know the gift, then here's what you've been missing. And listening is where conviction is revealed in descriptions in a brain model. don't come out hollow, but full throttle and dive in the deep end so history doesn't repeat and make it complete. Catch Grand Theft World every week with Richard and Tony. Chop it up with the homies. And I ain't talking about that public school baloney. In a sec, you should know me. Quoting Gatto in the flow that I'm growing. And LD's bearded is showing. The time capsule stack of stats is open. So spread it around, the show is ready to pounce. Audience that abounds, seeking out what's profound. I know it is challenging fallacies in the balance when a forensic story in it, boring men while exhorting in examination, contemplation, meditation, revelation, celebration, destinations planned, targets arrived. Autonomy crew of souls that survive, broke free from the 9 to 5, and we doing it live. Hey, with hope in our flow, where consciousness grows, as opposed to
you don't have to think about it, dude.
Cause it's a comedy show that be bombing truth, whoa, trying to make uncommon truths be more commonly known. That it's a Grand Theft World that I'm living in. Ain't no reptilian skin, just some normal humans who love to sin. From their banking powers they aim to win, deceive and betray all man, making everyone slaves to them. It's a Grand Theft World that I'm peering at. The sky's like a pyramid. For those tuning in, they be feeling that, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts, yeah, neglected aspect, that's what they lack. Yo, Trivium course, it'll deal with that, be a rebel, bring the logic back, cause it's a Grand Theft World that they rolling out. Got the gold model out, tracing Rockefeller dollars straight to clouds. SEC connections are hard to doubt, but most go the common route, walking with their head in the shroud. Yo, it's a Grand Theft World that I'm peering at. The sky's like a pyramid, but those tuning in, they be feeling that, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts. You should know, it's not a video game.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
This is Grand Theft World.
All right, LD.
It's a Grand Theft World that I'm peering at in the sky like a pyramid. For those tuning in, they'd be feeling it, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts.
If you need a single location to get cutting-edge information and keep up with the rapidly changing world around us, tune into Grand Theft World, where a forensic historian and a logic professor break down the week's news in depth and in context. There's a ton more there, so go check it out. And don't forget to get your Freedom Vault on the homepage.